Previously on The Business.
It is The Business, brought to you by F&B Business Banking with myself, Kriya Gangia, and Astrid Askar. And today is our tech show. And now that we've got the budget out of the way and kind of, the headlines, which is pretty much just the budget at this moment in time.
Boring.
It's time to get into today's show. Now, today we are, of course, talking social and digital media. And something that popped into our radar was a company called IRESS. And they do stocks and markets. And they bring it to the user in a very interesting form. So I thought we'd get them in and have a chat to them. So we're joined by Dale and Ashley from IRESS. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kriya.
Oh, wait, I need to put you guys' mics on. There we go, that's better.
Hello, Kriya.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about IRESS.
IRESS is an Australia-listed company. It's a global business focused on delivering software for trading on stock exchanges, futures markets. So really looking to deliver the ability to trade on pretty much any investment around the world.
So those of us who are investors in the stock exchange, whether it's through a unit trust or some kind of other fund, chances are that our broker or our fund manager is using your software?
There's about an 80% chance, yes.
Okay. It's a pretty good market share.
Not bad.
So you guys have a very new and different way of kind of making information accessible to any, be it a user, be it a firm. Tell us a little bit about this idea and the mechanism that you guys use.
Well, I'll kick off and then I'll let Dale take you through the more interesting stuff. But we started off with traditional PC-based delivery of the platform. The business is 20 years old, so obviously as things have evolved, we've moved into different ways of delivering the software, and now we're able to deliver it in a mobile format, be it on iPad, Android, on a phone, and of late we've started getting into social media, which is quite exciting, and maybe I can hand over to Dale to chat you through the Twitter solution we've delivered.
Yeah, Dale, tell us all about that.
Great. Yeah, well, I think we're quite privileged in that we have access to all these different markets and the data that comes with them. And we obviously saw the Twitter space growing quite a lot. People not just using it to tweet or follow people, but starting to use Twitter as a messaging system, either in the open forum or privately using DM and that sort of thing. And we thought it would be really cool if we created a callback feature that allowed people to request a share price and automatically get a response immediately. I suppose it's not something someone would act off to trade. It's delayed data, so the benefit of that is it's free for people. And yeah, a bunch of guys at the office sort of brainstormed over a little while. Everyone threw in their bit, mostly developers, and we created a nice little tool that allows people to tweet at us a share code or multiple share codes, and it automatically replies with the data. And if one of the shares that they request is a top 40 share, a little news link is also included, and that takes them to a page where they're able to get aggregated news from, it's about 50,000 RSS sources, including sends from the JSE as well.
Okay, so we all know we can access online information. We can get this kind of information in other ways. We can go to Mobi sites, we can go to websites, etc., etc. What I find quite interesting is that you chose to go the Twitter route, but I guess not really in the sense of wanting to increase market share or get more people to use it, but really to tap into existing behavior patterns, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a growing platform. Everyone in the financial markets has aspirations to, I suppose, educate and expose people to trading and investment. So to create a place or a way for people to access that data easily in I suppose, in the context or the environment where they're playing currently.
If they were already a Twitter user,
100%.
more likely to do it there than having to take them out of that environment to a site.
Exactly, and if you actually look at how many sort of, I suppose, clicks it takes to go onto a website, find the share page, put in a search, hit search, wait for the results, it's actually a lot easier just to tweet the code that you want and get the response.
Do I have to know all those codes off by heart?
I think anyone who's invested or has an interest in a company will likely know the code, So I think at this point, probably more experienced people will know that information, but we are working on a few little tricks that allow people to search a company name, and we reply with the code so that we can help guys find the companies they're looking for data on.
Ashley, what do you think? I mean, Dale alluded to the fact that it's in everyone's interests to educate people, educate the layman about investing in equities and stock exchanges. Do you think we do enough as an industry? I mean, we've had government talking about putting financial literacy firmly on the agenda of the players in this space. We've got a lot of regulation coming. I think we've had some sort of gentle wrapping over the knuckles of quite a few players over the past few years. And those are all good things, because it means the consumer who does want to get into the space can be guaranteed there'll be more protections in place.
Correct.
But on the education, that's one thing. That doesn't address the education of, I leave school, I'm a youngster, I'm in my 20s, I've got an idea for a business, I'm quite entrepreneurial, but how do I get into this space? How do I start teaching myself about this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think that the JSE does try, the stockbrokers try, so there's a lot of effort to market the ability to invest and to trade. I think, for example, this type of initiative on Twitter, we really need to move with the times. I think one of the challenges we have is that the industry is still a little bit old-fashioned in terms of
a little bit digitally phobic in
correct.
some instances.
Yes, exactly. and so I think if you look at your target audience or your target investor market who are, in their teens or in their early 20s, you have to change the game a bit. You have to be looking at different ways to firstly attract them, to save and to invest, and then how to actually do it. And so rather than trying to convince them to do it the way it's always been done, you have to say, how do they currently engage and
a very, very different way. So do you see the possibility that a Twitter and those kinds of platforms to some kind of real-time trading, which brings with it a whole set of other regulation and constraints, but is that, if we had to look into the future, I mean, it's
probably just a matter
going
of
to
time.
happen, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, if you go back 10, 15 years, I mean, you couldn't trade on the JSE through a website. So it's just a matter of progress and evolution, and also mindsets getting more comfortable with the fact that it will become more secure, and we shouldn't be scared of change.
How many users do you have who are individual investors, who are a little bit more sussed about this kind of thing, a lot more comfortable with actually tracking their own portfolio and making decisions about their own trades?
If you look at the number of direct investors on the JSE, for example, you're probably looking at, there are varying views on that, but somewhere between, say, 250 and 300,000 people. And as a percentage of population, that's very small.
Drop in the ocean, not even a drop.
Yes, so there's big opportunity.
And how much has that base grown over the past few years?
It hasn't. It's minimal growth. Considering the growth, the rate of growth of the population, it hasn't grown even in step with that. So there's big opportunity. And as you said earlier, regulation is one part of that, in terms of, if you look at Australia trying to encourage direct investment, for example, through the way you do your pension or provident fund. So I think they're creative ways that regulators and the the exchange can try and take the industry forward. And then it's about education and systems, and the whole thing needs to be coordinated.
So let's get back to the Twitter innovation, Dale. You said, some developers got around, threw some ideas around. I mean, where do you come up with an idea like this? We were chatting earlier before the show started, and you said you're not aware of it being used. It might be, someone might be using this in other parts of the world. But how do you come up with an idea like that?
I suppose it just stemmed from, I guess, some staff who were quite active in social media and who were on Twitter. And I suppose it's a little bit of innovation coming from being exposed to different areas within our business. So once people became aware that we have this incredible API which can access market data from around the world in a variety of different ways, you immediately can see, well, hang on, we can display this. We're currently displaying this data in a variety of applications for ourselves and our clients, and for publishers, etc. So why can't we display that data on something like a Twitter.
Interesting that you mentioned the international data as well, because what I find with a lot of the local kind of media platforms is we focus a lot on our local equities market, but getting that international information displayed to us in one place is quite difficult. The one place, that one interface, is quite key to your business, isn't it? Everything in one place.
Yeah, I suppose consolidated view of markets and commodities and currencies.
So if there are 3 or 4 shares I want to track in Australia and the States, I can now do it on demand, essentially, through this application.
Yes, so we provide our clients with solutions who in turn provide, I suppose, the retail or the consumer market with solutions. And one of those solutions is a consolidated, I think, a watch list. So it allows them to go and search for, I suppose, any market data, put it into a typical watch list, and they can monitor those prices or shares or currencies or rates, the ones that they've selected from a single place.
Is it too early to talk about or ask you about response from users?
On the Twitter solution? No, it's been great.
Yeah, I think we haven't really done any marketing around it. It's not a commercial venture for us in any way. I suppose it's
an added value service offering.
Yeah, I think it's a little experimental, something that we've just done. We've got 150 followers, if that counts for anything. We get it depends if the requests fluctuate during the day. It can be as low as 10, as high as 100. But I think it's a fair amount of interest given the size of the market, I suppose, that's interested in investing. If you take that market, then reduce it down to, well, how many of those people are on Twitter and active? It probably shrinks even smaller. So I suppose without any marketing, organic growth, it's not too bad. But I think we're trying to talk about it a little bit more, be a bit more open now that we've put it through testing, and hopefully I think in the future we'd like to open up other markets. So currently it just supports JSE, but it is geared to support any other market.
Okay. Ashley, a question for you about IRESS in general. What are the kinds of questions that somebody who wants to invest in the stock exchange should be asking the person whom they're entrusting their money to in terms of the software they use and the systems they use? What would you like to educate consumers about?
Well, firstly, I think there's been a lot of, on another radio station I heard this week, a few people phoning in that had a bad experience with a couple of software providers who were selling an investment piece of software which promised to make certain returns.
Yeah, we've all seen those, haven't we?
And all those kinds of things. So I think it is difficult when you don't understand how the market works, or you're still new to the market. It's quite easy to get taken in by those things. So I think the starting point is probably the best thing is to start with a stockbroker. And obviously there are 2 routes you can go. The one route is to, if you're brave, is to invest yourself and choose the stocks yourself. And if you're like Dale and everything is Apple, then you might want to invest in Apple stock. Or Google. So you can do that, and your broker typically, if your broker can't help you with that, I would suggest changing brokers, because they should be these days up to speed on trading platforms.
And what are the questions I should be asking that broker about how they're going to make their decisions, the systems and software they're using to help make those decisions?
Well, they have to give you comfort, firstly, that the system is secure in terms of login, password, how it all works, that the connectivity is going to be stable, that the platform is not going to fall over in the middle of the day when you're about to sell your holding because Obama said something silly. So you got to make sure the software is credible, is stable, is fast enough, and then obviously functionality. So as you get more savvy in the way you trade online, you will probably find that your expectation increases in terms of what functionality you want in the software. And so one of the nice things these days is there is choice in terms of platforming. We offer 4 or 5 different platforms depending on your level of expertise in trading. So all the way up to the same system that is used by the stockbrokers themselves, or you can start off with something web-based, and it's it's a great platform, but it doesn't necessarily give you all the bells and whistles. But it's certainly good enough to start trading. So that would be where I would start in sitting down with a stockbroker and understanding. what they have.
I think whilst we have you here, it will be an injustice if we don't ask you for a bit of insight into where should we be selling and where should we be investing.
Sure.
Personal opinion.
Personal opinion.
Personal
We
opinion.
qualify that.
Yes, so I'm not speaking on behalf of IRESS or any of our clients.
Speak on behalf of anyone. Ashley,
Yes.
just speaking to Kriya about.
Because
What-
I've got
what
a
kind
couple.
of-
Yeah, I've got some
off
cash
the
here.
record, Kriya. Are we talking off the
Yeah,
record?
yeah. No microphones. on.
Okay. My view would be to look at something like the Satrix, for example. You know, if you look at the returns that you would have got this year, just investing in something like an index on the JSE, the returns have been phenomenal. So if you're somebody who doesn't have a huge amount of time to do all the research and go online and trade stock by stock, I would choose one of the indices, and the odds are that you will get a very good return based on just the last 6 to 8 months, or even the last year or so. If you have a little bit more time on your hands, and it's not just about getting a good return on your investment, but also actually enjoying it, and also, as I said earlier, where it relates to your lifestyle or what you do, then I would certainly, I would register with a stockbroker, get an account, get a piece of software, and just slowly start looking at things like, stocks overseas, like some of your tech stocks, and locally there's some great stocks as well. I mean, something like Aspen, I love Aspen, even though people keep saying it's too expensive.
Dynamic CEO there.
Exactly.
Got a lot to do with it.
At the end of the day, you invest in management, right? So,
Yeah.
so there are 2 or 3 stocks. I mean, you look at Naspers, there's certain stocks
Ian's
that
favorite.
are just incredible. So, I'm no expert, but that's what I would suggest.
Great. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. We really appreciate it. And if any of our listeners want to get hold of you, how can they do that?
They can email us. They can email myself at Eamon at iris.co.za, or Dale at dimmerman at iris.co.za, or they can tweet us. Dale?
Yeah, they can send us a tweet. The company is IRESS, which is IRESS _ Africa on Twitter. Otherwise, if they want to just try and request a stock, they can follow IRESS _ Data and give that a shot, and
Great.
just send us a message. We'll be in touch.
I know there's lots more questions that we'd love to chat with you, but unfortunately we have run out of time. But yeah, if anyone wants to get hold of them, then those are the details, and you can do so there. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in, and
Thanks a
we
lot.
really
Thanks for having us.
appreciate it.
Ashley Mendelowitz and Dale Immelman from IRESS.
Correct.
The Business. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on bulls.co.za. Brought to you by FNB Business Banking.